box hits the red, and it's time to jump headfirst into a brand new Let's Play. Yeah, it's been a hot minute since the last video that I uploaded, so I thought maybe it was about time to try and get something going, and to help wade back into the pool, I decided I would try playing through a short game. So, we're gonna play through Balloon Kid, released in 1990 for the Game Boy. It serves as something of a sequel to, Balloon Fight. It's a really fun little game, but this isn't the version of the game that we're going to be playing. The Game Boy version here is perfectly serviceable, but there is a better version that I would like to do for the Let's Play. So, instead, we're going to be playing Balloon Fight GB, a Japan-exclusive Game Boy Color remake of Balloon Kid. Being in full color, this will naturally make for a nicer playthrough, so I thought that would be a little better to look at, and this is a perfectly suitable game to play as well, because there's not really that much Japanese text here, really only here on the title screen and on another screen that we're going to be seeing later. And it has all the same game modes as well, so that works out well for us as well. So, let's go ahead and get right into it. So for our story, Alice and her brother Jim are playing with balloons, but then Jim takes a few too many balloons and then gets carried away in the wind. Meanwhile, instead of doing something to help prevent him from floating away, Alice is just standing there, jumping in place, watching him float away. Good job, Alice. Such a responsible older sister. But anyway, we go through that, and that takes us to the map screen, which, by the way, you do not see in the Game Boy version. That was added for this one. From here, you can access any level that you now have opened, or you can go back and replay a level that you've already completed. And gives us a little preview of what's to come. But let's go ahead and jump into the first stage right now. So, what is Balloon Kid exactly? Well, imagine Balloon Fight, except instead of going around flying around in a controlled area, popping enemy balloons, you're instead going on a side-scrolling adventure. But yeah, basically a platform-style game. So basically what we're trying to do here is fly to the end of the level, following this trail of balloons that Jim has left behind. So basically, when you break it down, this is basically Balloon Fight with an adventure mode. I mean, what a novel idea! This is such a simple premise, and yet I feel like it works so well. Oops. Yeah, you're gonna want to watch out for stage hazards. That's the main name of the game here, is to avoid stuff, but if you do accidentally break one of your balloons, you can pump one back up by pressing on the down arrow a few times. So here in the first stage here, we're going through a town comprised of pencils and matchsticks, and the name of this place is called Pennsylvania. Whoever came up with that name is way too proud of that. By the way, I just broke 20 balloons, and that means that now all the balloons that we're going to be popping along the way are now going to be worth double points. This little Game Boy here is going to lead us into a minigame. And said minigame should look quite familiar if you've played the original Balloon Fight. Basically, we have these 4 pipes here, and then balloons are going to fly out of them, and we have to pop them all. If we are successful, we'll get an extra life. This is a little harder in this version, I find, because you can't just go off the side of the screen like you could in the original Balloon Fight and just wrap around to the other side, so you do have to physically fly into each balloon, although you can still go into the side to stop your momentum. I find it easier to swing from one side to the other constantly in order to break all the balloons. Also gotta love that original Balloon Fight music as well. I broke all the balloons, and there's a heart that gets us an extra life. Excellent. Right, carrying right along. This P balloon is going to make us invincible for a short time, but it also speeds up the screen a bit, which is going to make it harder to break all the balloons along the way. You don't have to break all the balloons, but you do get a bonus at the end if you do. But yeah, you can take out everything along the way. A little concerning that there's walking fire in this town made up of wooden pencils. A bit of a fire hazard, I'd say. Be careful here if you're not invincible, because if your balloons pop, you'll take a plunge into the water and lose a life. They don't kill you, but if you bump into them, they'll knock you around a bit. They can also pop your balloons, so watch out for that. Another neat little trick is that you can press the B button to release your balloons, and then you'll just start running and jumping. I just missed those balloons up there, but oh well. But yeah, you can release your balloons and then you can start running and jumping. So even if both of your balloons pop, it's not necessarily the end. And then, like I said before, you can press the down arrow to inflate some more balloons. Unless there's an inconvenient bird just overhead. So yeah, you've got a good array of tricks there. And the neat thing about this particular level is that you could complete the whole thing on foot if you wanted to. There's going to be a few tricky bits if you try and do that, but it is possible. And just like that, we're now at the end of Stage 1. At the end, it's going to calculate your total score, and if you manage to break all the balloons without dying, then you will be awarded with an extra life. Of course, we missed one balloon along the way, so that's not going to be happening. But yeah, that's a bonus that you could get if you can make it to the distance. When we come out of here, it's going to ask us if we want to save our progress. We're not going to do that for now. But instead, we're going to move on to Stage 2, the Forest. It's a happy little place filled with a bunch of happy little trees. You can see them smiling back there in the background. But also what we're going to be finding around here are a bunch of insects, such as bees and worms and band members from the 60s. So, yeah, watch out for them. Again, they don't hurt you if you run into them, but they can pop your balloons, and, well, that could be trouble if you're over a chasm of water down there. What is funny, though, is that you can stand on these beetles. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can. Get myself another balloon here. It's probably not a good idea to be at the very front of the screen, because you want to make sure you have enough time to react to maybe some sudden dragonflies that are coming across. Also, you can also stand on top of the bees. Well, you can if you have better aim than I do. Alright, that's our 20th balloon, so double balloons are going to be activated. And we're going to go for a plunge. Very briefly there, we saw floppy fish, otherwise known as balloon fish in the original balloon fight. He'll jump out of the water to try and eat you if you get too close to it, so gonna need to watch out for that as well. That's why you don't want to be too close to the water in most stages. Once again, there's a big old fireball just happily jumping around in this highly flammable area. Awful lot of that going around in this world. All I'm saying is the people of Pennsylvania better have a really good fire department. But yeah, not too much in the way of hazards to watch out for in these first couple of stages. We're still mainly getting acquainted with the controls after all. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and drop our balloons here so we can jump in and get this extra life. Even though you can run and jump pretty well in this game, the controls are a little difficult during the run and jump parts because you do have to because you do bounce against a lot of walls while you're playing. And we're flying backwards. Let's see, if I'm not mistaken, there should be a bonus coming up fairly soon. Also, a little bit of a graphical error there. It kind of looks like the tree gets cut off by the grass on the background layer there. Up ahead, we're going to have some large spike balls that are going to fall and hit the ground and split off into several smaller ones. Those can be a little difficult to avoid, but luckily it's mostly over land, so they're not too bad to get around. Now we're going to want to release our balloons here so that we go down this little gap. So we go down here, and that's going to lead us to another Game Boy minigame. Going to pump myself up a few balloons, and in we go. So, pretty much same deal as before. We're watching for the balloons, and they're going to come out a little faster than they did in the first minigame. Each one that we find is going to go a little faster. So, being able to get around and pop them all in time is going to be a bit more difficult. Again, my usual strategy is to simply bounce against the walls, or to just stop my momentum so that I can turn around and pop the other balloons. But if any of them get to the top of the screen, and fly off the top, then the minigame ends, and you'll be kicked back to the regular stage without a 1-up. So we'll go get that. And that's that. Now that we're coming up to the end of the stage, the trees are suddenly not looking so happy anymore. In fact, they look quite angry, like they're shouting at us. Also, what's that thing in the background, I'm wondering? Just be careful around this last part. And the music seems to be building up to something here. It's building up to our first boss. There's Jim, but he's getting carried off again, leaving us to fight with the first boss, Wacka Wacka Wolf. He's basically just going to move around and swing his fists about. We basically just have to jump on his head a few times. Again, he can't hurt you, but you can die if you get launched into the water off to the bottom sides there, but it's far enough out of the way I don't find that to be much of a problem. I say as I almost took a plunge. Anyway, with the boss now defeated after 3 jumps, we can now fly straight to the end goal, but before we do, I really like this music. It just makes you feel like you've really accomplished something. I really enjoyed listening to it. But anyway, that's going to be stage 2 done. We did, even though we popped all the balloons along the way, we're still not going to get the 1-up bonus because, well, we did die at one point. But that's going to be it for that. And when next we play, we will continue our adventure onto the next stage. CA. So, that's what we have to look forward to next time, and I'll see you then!